All right, good day, all my real estate and TC or transaction coordinator geeks. How you doing? Hey, we are going to do about a 3-hour workshop here, and it's an introduction to becoming a transaction coordinator. This is not about starting your own transaction management business. This is not about specifically being a transaction coordinator on an actual team or for an individual agent. This is just about the process of going from contract to post-close. How do you do it? What are the systems that are involved? I tend to break it down into 3 systems. You need to have a transaction management system, a separate email management system, and a relationship and communication management system. So we're going to go through all 3 of these. By the time that you're done with this full workshop, you should have a pretty good idea, even if you don't have your own task list yet, how to create a task list, how to create an actual transaction summary sheet, how to go ahead and put those all together, plus the documents that you receive from your agents on your files, and how to send out your first introduction of your new file when you process a new file to lenders and closers and title and attorney and your agents and your customers and everything else like that. Then once you're done with that opening process, a little bit about what do we do during the inspection process. Then what do we do during finance and title? And what do we do on pre-closing, and what do we do on post-closing? Now, did you notice the very first thing, I hope you noticed anyways, was that even if your task list is 50 to 100 items long, I don't think of it that way. That's overwhelming to me. Okay. So what I like to do is anything that could be overwhelming, how would I break that into smaller parts? So I looked at the transaction as a whole, and I break it down into 5 small parts. Now that's going to be part of our transaction management system. Then how is most of that handled? Through email. And we don't want to just use email the way that I see a lot of people using email, which is they're just reactive to whatever comes in. I'm not reactive. Everybody else is reactive to me, which means I must be doing something a little bit different. And so what does our email management system look like? How do we actually title the subject line? What is the actual contents of the email? How do we actually title the attachments? What are the folders on the side? All of that. That's all very intentional and specific. And then that last part, transaction management system, email management system, and the last part, communication and relationship management system. How do we communicate with each other? How do I communicate with an agent? What's acceptable? What's not acceptable? What things do we agree upon? Such as we agree with each other to never call, text, or email with anything that even closely resembles the message, call me. Okay. They're usually going to hire you or hire me because they're looking for leverage and they want to get paid, but they're looking for leverage. So if they call me and say, call me, okay, or leave a message, aren't they busy? So why under God's green earth do I think they're just sitting around waiting for me to call them back? We're probably going to play phone tag. There's got to be a better way to do it than that. We're not in 7th grade anymore. So we have standards. We will never call each other, text, call, or email and leave anything that says, call me. We will only leave one of 2 acceptable messages. One of them being, leave enough actionable information so the other person can actually do something for you. Leave enough actionable information so the other person can actually do something. Second one, leave enough information to end the call, meaning leave enough information that there's no reason for them to call back. You're just informing them of something, okay? So that would be one example. Now, if you've got those 3 things fairly well dialed in, you're going to do pretty well from a contract to post-close situation. Okay. Now there's a few other things that I personally like to do, which is task batching and time blocking and all those types of things. Okay. But with those 3 things, you can play TC at a higher level. If the only thing that you've got is what do I need to do from contract to post close, anybody can learn those items. You can have a task list and know exactly what's on that task list, accomplish those items, and you've done what it takes on one file. But the real job here isn't how to move a file from contract to post-close. That's just one small part of it. The real job is how do you manage 30 of those at a time? How do you manage 50 of those at a time? How do you manage 100 of those at a time? That's the real job. That's almost more like project management, not transaction management. Okay. So we're going to talk a lot today about getting from contract to post-close. Now, what part did I say we're not going to cover? And this is pretty specific, and I mean this. We are not going to talk about how do you start your own business. Why? Because anybody who's going to work for another agent, you're going to be W-2'd and you are the transaction coordinator on their team and you're on their payroll, okay? You still need to know everything I just talked about. Anybody who's going to start their own transaction management business, you still need to know everything I just talked about. Now, what is it about starting your business that is an addition? For me, you are not a transaction coordinator. That's just the service that you provide. Okay. What you are technically is you're a business owner that happens to provide transaction management as a service. And as a business owner, you are going to wear what I call many hats. Okay. One of those hats is transaction coordinator. The other hat is lead generator. Okay. The other hat is system developer, auditor, all those types of things. It is going to be the hiring manager, the onboarding manager, the training manager, the manager. Okay. It is going to be the financials. It is going to be the legal. If you are going to go into this and start your own business, you are a business owner first that happens to provide transaction management as a service. And the only hat that we're going to talk about today is, for about 3 hours, transaction management. How to get from contract to post-close. First thing that you might notice that is different in my verbiage. I don't say contract to close. You almost never hear me say that. And if I do, it's an accident. And the reason why is because what you're about to see is I'm about to do a screen share here, and you're going to see, I don't think your job is done once there's a closing. Okay. There are a few activities that we do post-close that guarantee that someone gets paid, that the files are compliant, that you close out everything. And if you don't do those things, you're probably getting fired. It's that simple, okay? So if there's something that I don't do and I could get fired, I'm going to make sure that I do it. So there are some things post-close that you do. So I'm always going to say contract to post-close rather than contract to close, just so that doesn't confuse you. So let's go into this video, one of 4 parts. This first part is just this introduction. And then we're going to go into what are the actual resources that we're going to make available to you. Okay. So if you're watching this, you've probably already seen this blog with a few links on it. And this is just a blog on our website, an introduction to becoming a transaction coordinator. It's at cultivatewins.com. And if you scroll down here, you're going to see a couple things. Okay. You can read all of it if you want, but I'm going to skip over a few things here. First thing that you're going to see is there are links to outlines. I'm definitely using an outline while we go through all of this, and you have actual access to the exact outline I'm looking at, not a copy of it. It is the exact outline. And there's 2 different ways that you can grab that outline. Number one, and this is not my preference, but some people will like this, so we're going to make it available. You can go ahead and click complete outline. And if you do that, what you're going to get is a 15-page outline with everything that I'm going through, all of the homework assignments, all of the resource links, everything I'm going through for 15 pages. Now, why wouldn't I use that? Personal opinion, that's just overwhelming to me. 15 pages is more than I want to look at. But if you like that, you can certainly use that. It's available to you, print it out, use it as, take notes on it, use the check boxes for your homework, everything else like that. So if I wouldn't use that, what would I use? We are breaking these videos into 4 separate videos. And in those videos, I'm going to have 4 separate outlines, which is part of the complete outline. So what I've done is I've broken this down into 4 very separate outlines. Each one of them includes everything we're going to go through. It also includes all the same links that were in the full outline. It also has all of the homework assignments right there with all of the appropriate links. Personally, I would use this because this is 3 pages versus 15. And this is what I'm going to use to walk you through the course. And we will go through, one of the most important parts is going through your homework at the end of every single one of these videos. Now, here's what we're going to share in the first outline for this first video. And we're going to burn through this one real quick because I want to get to transaction management. I want to talk about task lists as soon as possible. So let's burn through this video, which is all about where are your resources, okay? First thing I'm going to tell you, first place to go for your resources while you're going through this course, they're right in the outlines. In the outlines, if I mention a resource or if I show a resource, it's there. So if I talk about go to Cultivate Wins and go to their free tools and resources page, okay, well, that's right here. And these are all hot linked. So it'll take you right to that page and you'll be able to scroll down. And if I say, go to the free tools and resources page and grab the virtual whiteboard. Well, there's your virtual whiteboard. You click on here and I'm going to say, watch the 27-minute walkthrough demo video that's on YouTube. There it is. Then I'm going to tell you, you can either go down into the description of the video. You can go into the description of the video, and in that description will be a copy of a link to the actual whiteboard or actual spreadsheet that I'm using in the video. Boom, you can click on that and you will see it will open up that exact whiteboard, exact spreadsheet. And what you can do is click use template and boom. What I am using in the video, you don't get just a version of it. It is literally what I'm using in the video. And then you will be able to add that to your Google Drive and edit it until your heart is content, okay? So when I'm going through anything in these outlines, any resource I talk about, there's going to be a hot link for. So there's your free tools and resources. There's a hot link to our YouTube channel. Okay. There is our Facebook group. Our Facebook group is where a lot of us hang out. A lot of us share favorite books, shout outs. I give as much information as I possibly can in this group. Okay. What is this? I don't even know what this post is. It's from me. Here, I'm just giving a bunch of free links and stuff like that to resources to people. So I love giving out free tools and resources. It's what I do. So with the free tools and resources, every once in a while, someone wants to go beyond that. So what is the $12 a month? $12 a month just gets you access to, rather than going to our website and clicking on store and buying all of our different courses. In my opinion, I wouldn't do that. Personally, I'll make more money if you do that, but I wouldn't do that. What I would do personally is I would pay the $12 a month, and that gets you access to this membership. If you have access to this membership, you can go right into categories, and every one of our courses, you have full and free access to every single thing that we've done. And I'll just click on one of them, say TC 101, click on TC 101, and there's your 9-hour course right there. Okay, 9 hours, 33 minutes. Okay, every course is in there. So don't go and pay for the courses individually. Okay, so the next thing that I'll just share with you, there's a bunch of other resources here. So I'll leave those there for you. But I do want to explain one last one, and that's this. It says access to 3 Google Drive folders from Cultivate Wins. See chart and links below. That is this. Many times I'm going to recommend when we're talking about task lists, hey, jump into my Google Drive and grab a couple example task lists, okay? And I'm not kidding by that. Literally jump in my Google Drive and go pull out a couple sample task lists. Now, you have access to my Google Drive. So I keep a folder of people in this community are amazing. When someone in the Facebook group says, hey, can someone share a copy of what their task list looks like or what their transaction summary sheet? People are unbelievable, and they just provide free samples and they give them away and go, this is one we're using. This is one we've been using for the last 3 years. Here's our new one. Those types of things. When they do that, I'm busy, so I'm not always able to take. They were able to share it. I'm grateful for that, but that doesn't mean I have time to look at it right then and there and see if there's anything I want to get from that. So what I do, because I still learn from others. I love looking at what other people do. So I take it and I quickly download it and I just throw it into a Google Drive folder. And so I've got task list after task list after task list, okay? So, and these are not like sample task lists. These are task lists that successful companies are actually using. They're using every day to run their business, okay? There's a ton of them there. And then I'm also going to say, by the way, grab a transaction summary. Okay, we'll go up to that folder. There's a bunch of transaction summaries in here. Okay, now this one is transaction summary on the top and a full checklist on the bottom. There's tons of these in this folder. So you can see what other people are doing. You don't need to start from ground zero. Okay, how many people say don't recreate the wheel? If someone else is already doing a great job in running a successful business and they already have task lists and they already have transaction summary sheets and they're willing to share them with you, okay, I don't take that for granted. I appreciate that stuff and I save it and I use it for inspiration and for learning. Okay. So for you, I would say the same thing. It's just, I might have been doing this a little longer than you, and other people, even if they've done it as long as me, maybe they haven't thought about saving it and just creating a folder for it. So I'm just giving you access to how I do it, how I save those things. Some people are like, well, what happens in a transaction from beginning to end? Okay, well, there's a bunch of different ways that some people look at that. So I have actually saved a bunch of the graphics that I've seen people put together on what happens in a transaction and what does that timeline look like? What does the workflow look like? So these are just so many different ways to look at how someone walks through a transaction. Now, some of these are good. Some of these, I don't love them. Okay, that's okay. But I save them. Okay, I save them because they may provide inspiration. There's something about this one that still inspires me to this day. And I found this one years ago. Okay. So anyways, so those are a couple tools and resources. I won't go through all of them. You can definitely do that. And that's all of these tools and resources are going to be in this first part because that's what I'm going through. So you have full access to everything I'm going through. Now, before I get to your homework, and then we're going to end this video, okay, I'm going to go through a couple things that I just want to make sure that I share with you before we end this video. Number one, I already mentioned it, but we're going to emphasize it right now. Understanding that being a transaction coordinator has more to do with learning how to manage multiple, keyword here is multiple files simultaneously than it is learning how to process a file from contract to post-close. Now, I'm telling you right now, do you need to know what needs to be done from contract to post-close? Of course you do, okay? But generally speaking, I can teach that to anyone. And if we go through, I'm going to say 5, 6, max a dozen files. After a dozen files, they know what it takes to go from contract to close. They may be actually as good at it as I am. But here's the deal is, that doesn't mean if I gave them 30 of them that they would know how to run their business, that they would know how to manage all of that and not lose their ever living mind, not drop the ball. Okay. That is what the real job is here. So I don't want you to forget that. And there are plenty of TCs out there that are managing 30 to 50 files simultaneously. And that's not even that big of a number. That's just kind of standard out there. There's a lot of people managing 30 to 50 files. Now, there's a percentage of us out there that for years have done, between say 70 and 100 files pretty consistently and in less than 40 hours a week. And that's not because they're impressive. They built systems that allow them to do that in less than 40 hours a week. Now, there's some of them that are working way more than 40 hours a week, and I would question their systems. Okay. Next thing is be resourceful. I'm telling you right now, almost every single tool that you're going to need is somewhere in all of these tools that I'm giving you today. Be resourceful and go through them. So one of them, I'm just going to use one more example. You're going to see, I already showed you the Google Drive and stuff like that. You're also going to see that I suggest that you go, and it's going to be part of your homework, that you actually download the TC 101 and the virtual whiteboard spreadsheets. And you're going to notice on both of them, down in the bottom left-hand corner here on this one, says resources. Okay. And in resources, I've got all the different TC and real estate communities that I follow right there. You don't even have to go to Facebook and say, I don't even know where to start. How do I find transaction coordinators that I can hang out with? All of the links are here. Okay. Well, I don't know what softwares people use. Okay. Well, here's the top softwares that I see most people using right now. Well, what other tools are they using? I don't know what everybody else is using. Okay. They're all listed right here, and the links to each one of them to learn about them is right here. Okay. Well, I can't remember where the Google Drive was. Okay, it's right there again. Oh, if I go to the top, it's right there again. How do I get to Cultivate Wins? It's right there again. Okay, so be resourceful. Everything that you could possibly need is going to be there. Okay, and the free tools and resource pages there always, and everything else like that. Okay, so that is what I'm telling you about being resourceful. Last thing I'll say about being resourceful. A lot of people are members of these different transaction coordinator real estate Facebook groups. And if you really page through there and look at it, almost every week, the same 3 to 6 questions are asked every single week. You have new people that come in there and say, hey, I'm a new TC, and then they ask their question. But they didn't scroll down far enough or use the little hourglass to actually do a search to see if anybody had asked that question. So let's just, for example, go to, I love our group. My group's our group is my favorite. My second favorite, I really love Michelle Spalding's group. I think Michelle Spalding is amazing. I love Michelle Spalding. She has about 6,000 people in her group right now. Okay. So here's what I'm going to tell you. See this little search, this little eyeglass here, magnifying glass? Just click that and start searching through what is available already. So I'm going to tell you right now, what are some of those common questions? Hey, I'm brand new. Does anybody have any suggestions of how I'd get started? Hey, I'm brand new. Are there any courses that anybody would recommend? Hey, I'm brand new. How do I get my first client? Hey, I've been doing this for a little while, but business seems to be slow. What is everybody else doing to get new business? Does anybody have any lead generation ideas? Hey, I am growing my business. It's gotten to the point that I really could use a hire. Has anybody, what is any suggestions? Would you use a virtual assistant? Would you not use a virtual assistant? Why does David Breckheimer call it a remote partner rather than virtual assistant? Okay, I don't like the term virtual assistant. Okay, I'm telling you right now, 90% of what you would want to know has already been asked this week. And if you look at it from now to the beginning of the year, it's probably been asked dozens and dozens of times. I would search first, be resourceful, and then look through there, because there are amazing TCs in these communities that have already answered all those questions. And what you can do without ever asking a question is read back through some of those. Oh my gosh, there's books upon books upon books of information in those past posts. Don't ask the question until you've done the search, my opinion. Okay. So I would say be resourceful. Batch and block, I'm not even going to talk about right now because it's going to come up in later videos anyway. So let's not spend any more time on that. The last thing I would say is start seeing and treating restrictions as power. And what I mean by that is this. As we go into the next videos, I'm going to teach you a little of my perspective of what a task list is and how we build one. And then I'm going to give you some homework to actually build one. When I say start seeing restrictions as power, I mean this, and I'm going to use task list building as an example. Some people, when they see my homework, will say, yep, I'm going to try to get that done in the next week, or that I'm going to work on that project over the next 3 weeks or next 3 months. I'm telling you right now, if you give yourself a week, you give yourself 3 weeks, you will take a week to 3 weeks to do it. Okay, maybe more, but you will at a minimum take as much time as you've given yourself. And I'll tell you this, if I'm going to go ahead and build a task list, I'm not going to do it in a week, 3 weeks, or 3 months. I'm going to do it in 30 minutes. Okay, because it's easier than what I'm giving it credit for. And here's the thing is it's not about making it perfect. It's about getting something done so you have something to start with. Okay, make real progress. So if I say 30 minutes and I say, here's what I want you to do, grab 3 sample task lists. Where can you get them? Google Drive. Okay, my Google Drive. So you have 3 of them side by side, the 3 that you like the best. You can even print them if you want. Grab a highlighter and just highlight, yes, I would like to do that level of service, that. I don't want that to be part of my business. I don't want to do that. Okay. That. Start highlighting what you would like to add to your task list that you already see from successful companies. Take those and then draw them out as one task list, your initial task list. Then take that task list and ask yourself one question. Breckheimer says that there are 5 phases in a transaction. There's the opening, there's the inspection, there's the title and finance, there's a pre-close, and there's a post-close. And I'll explain all those later, okay? And you could organize it a totally different way, but that's the examples you're going to get in these videos, okay? Those 5. Take your task list and everything that is part of the opening, take all those tasks and put them together. Space, so you can see that there's a new stage, and then put everything that's in inspections. Then put everything that is together that is dealing with title and finance, everything that's pre-close and everything that's post-close. That right there, you can do in 30 minutes. Anybody who tells me that they can't, they're not working with me. Because I'll tell you right now, if we are on a Zoom call, I'll make you do it in 30 minutes. It's not that hard. Stop making a big deal out of it. Find somewhere to start. Now, what will happen after 30 minutes? You actually have something that you can use. You actually are making real progress. That is power. Versus if you give yourself a week, 3 weeks, or 3 months, I'm not saying you, but a lot of us, what'll happen? We'll start to overthink the whole process. Don't overthink this, okay? So grant yourself a little bit of grace and actually give yourself a little less time than you think you need. Just get something done and make real progress, rather than you're going to beat yourself up if you just sit here and you keep overthinking it and you think that you're going to get perfection. Give me a break. You just got started it. You got people that have been doing this 5-10 years and they still don't feel that they're even close to perfection. You're certainly not going to nail this in a week or 3 weeks. Just see what you can get done in 30 minutes and knock it out. Okay. And the last, I think I said that was the last thing. I forgot there's one more here, but for the homework, and that is tools are not systems and systems are not tools. In this course, you're going to hear me use the term systems, and you're going to hear me use the word tools. I don't see those as the same thing, but in our industry, it's common. The average person that asks me about systems doesn't mean systems, they mean tools. So here's what I mean, okay? When people come to me and say, hey, David, when you were managing 100 files simultaneously, what system were you using? Nobody means system. They're all really asking me, what tool was I using? Was I using open to close? Was I using TC Docs? Was I using my virtual whiteboard? And was I using Airtable? Was I using A-Frame? That's not a system. Those are tools. So your system is going to be, what is your thought process? What is your task list? Okay, what is the service that you want to provide? What is the system and process that you're going to go through to make sure that that system that you've guaranteed you're going to provide actually happens? What is your thought process? Is your system. Then you're going to choose a tool. At some point, you're going to choose a tool, even if it's just on paper. And you've got one piece of paper for every transaction, where you're going to use my virtual whiteboard for free, or you're going to use, say, open to close, okay, or A-Frame or something like that. That's a tool. And when the tool is there for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is what allows you to actually accomplish your system, okay? Your tool, now I just messed up all my words, okay? But your tool is there to facilitate your system. You have a system, and what that tool is going to do is it's actually going to make that system happen. So you take that system and you integrate it into the tool, and the tool is what you use to implement. Implement is the word I was looking for. But your tool is what will allow you to implement the system that you've designed. I sure wish I could have said that about 60 seconds ago. Implement, okay? Your tool is there to implement the system. And then it does, because of that, what does it do? It provides leverage to you, okay? It provides real leverage to you. So what's your homework? Your homework is this. And then we're done with this video. I'm going to end it, okay? First thing I want you to watch. And some of you are going to watch this and go, huh, interesting. Some of you are going to go, I don't get why you had me watch that. And I'd say watch it again. Okay. And that is, watch the video, why what you do truly matters. Okay. What I want you to get is, when you are learning contract to post close and you learn one transaction, I think 9 times out of 10, we kind of think that we have a direct relationship with our agent and maybe their client. Maybe some TCs don't interact with the buyer or seller at all. Some do. Okay. Both of them are fine. Okay. We each have our preferences of how we want to do our business, but I'm just telling you this, those are not your only relationships. I think it's important. And I will tell you right now, the most important thing I'm telling you for myself so far is 2 things. Number 1, understand that your real job is not contract to post close. It's learning how to do that well enough that then that's no longer a focus in any way, shape, or form. The real focus is, how do I do 30, 50, 100 of those simultaneously without losing my ever-living mind or dropping the ball? Okay, that's one thing that this is really about today. Second thing that this is about is that video right there. You have to understand and believe with every ounce of your heart that every transaction you touch involves minimum, not involves impacts. Impacts. It has real impact on minimum of 16 people. Okay, so when you have 30 files in your pipeline, you are not affecting 30 agents. You are not affecting 30 families. It's 30 times 16. And once you Watch that video. You will see what your real impact is once you start doing volume. Who you are in this transaction matters. Unbelievably matters. The level of compassion that you handle these files with, the level of professionalism that you handle these files with matters. It matters like nobody's business. And in 12 minutes, I go through that and I go through the math on that. And to me, can't tell you how important that is to me. I mean, you can tell. I'll talk about this the whole next hour. Okay. So the next thing I would do is I showed you two tools. One is a virtual whiteboard. One is the TC 101 toolkit. What I would do is I would watch the 12-minute video on why what you do truly matters. Then I would watch the 27-minute virtual whiteboard so you get a general idea of what that tool is. And you may learn a lot just about transaction management just by watching that video and me explaining that tool. You might go, oh, that makes a lot of sense, okay? From a transaction management point of view. I could care less about whether you like the tool or not. You might just learn something about transaction management based on how I explain the tool. The next thing is watch the video on what is involved in the TC 101 toolkit so you know where all your resources are. And then download or save both of those to your Google Drive because you're going to end up editing those so you have your own copies, okay? The last thing that I would say is up to you whether you want to do this piece of homework or not. But if you are newer to the TC world, we get a lot of the same questions over and over again, as I mentioned earlier. So what I like to do is I like to kind of follow the groups and see what are some of the most common questions that we see over and over and over again. And then what I do is I just keep updating this particular blog, and it's frequently asked questions for new and aspiring TCs. Not only do I answer a ton of the questions, but then once we get a little farther, I write the questions out and then I go ahead and I record a video reply to each and every one of those. So if there's any of those that you're curious about, that would be another resource that you could go to. Now, that is it for this first video. The next one that we're going to go through is going to be part 2 of 4. And we are going to talk about transaction management systems, but we are really going to focus on the task list and the transaction summary sheet. And then where do we gather the information that is needed to process a file? How do we know what is needed and or required, both nationally, state, local, and broker requirements? And there, now that I have a task list and summary sheet, how do I learn how to be a TC? That's what's in the next video. So I hope this was helpful to you. Stick around for the next 3 videos. And if there's anything else that you need, go ahead and look at all the resources that I just mentioned. Make sure you've got these outlines and visit our website for all the free tools and resources. Have a great day. Let's jump into the next video. Stop sharing and stop the video. All right, see ya.